I'm hearing today that the Supreme Court has made a decision on the Naira redesign policy. They ruled against the federal government. And the reason why they ruled against the federal government is because they decided that the federal government has not followed the right process that they were supposed to follow before implementing the Naira redesign policy. Now, if this is true, if what I'm hearing is true, this is the decision that will cancel APC declaration in the February 25, 2023 election. INEC chairman, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission in Nigeria, is in the same position as the governor of Central Bank of Nigeria. The similarity is that both of them are heads of government agencies. If Emefiele is said to have not followed the process that he was meant to follow before implementing the Naira redesign policy, then a different decision cannot be made. In the case of APC and the declaration of Tinubu as the winner of the 25 February 2023 election, they are the same. So that judgment is going to nail APC. The APC time is up. We are not going to give up. Nigerians will not give up. Nobody should give up. I've always said that time changes everything. When time comes, nobody has the power to stop it. Nobody has the power to maneuver it. The time has come. And people should be happy to have a stubborn candidate in His Excellency Peter Obi. He has the stubbornness that any human being needs to succeed in whatever he does. It doesn't matter whether you're doing small business selling onions and crayfish, or you're trying to survive in the Western world, wanting to just simply get a job or to stay in your work, or simply want to live in Nigeria in peace and in security. Every single individual that lives on this planet as a human being needs the stubbornness that we can find in His Excellency Peter Obi. And this is the stubbornness that we need for change and to revolutionize Nigerian democracy. The time is up. The APC is cornered, left and right. There is no escaping. There is nowhere out. The Naira redesign policy decision made by the Supreme Court, if that is true, that the reason why the Supreme Court has extended the Naira swap deadline is because Emefiele, the central bank chairman, has not followed the process of giving notice, because he said that he's meant to give notice. He did not give adequate notice. That is a very serious ground. And if that is the case, then the court can interfere. The court can interfere in a situation where a government, a public authority, has not followed due process in implementing its decision. Tell me what the difference is between that and the case of INEC. The Electoral Act of 2022 amended gave INEC the power to choose between two modes of transmission of election results, from polling booths to collation centers. And namely, they are the use of electronic transmission system or manual transmission. INEC chose to use manual transmission to do that. When INEC chose to use manual transmission to do that, INEC has placed itself in a judicial position. That was exercise of discretion. Now, whenever the law or the statute gives power to an agency, a government agency, to implement via policy or to implement via regulation, the person charged with that power sits in a judicial position, just the same way as a judge in the High Court, magistrate, or the Court of Appeal, or the Supreme Court. There has to be a process of changing that decision once that decision has been made. When INEC made the decision to use the bimodal system to transmit election results, people placed reliance on that. The reliance people placed on that, the contestants, some contestants went and bought forms because they believe that this election will be different. Voters went and registered to get their PVC because they believe that this time around their votes will count. And Mr. Festus Keyamo was here to be saying that INEC was entitled to change their mind. There is no evidence that INEC actually changed their mind because there was no decision that anyone could see. Even if there's a decision from INEC publicizing that it has changed its mind, that decision would not apply, because once people have relied on the decision that this election will be transmitted using the electronics method, if INEC wants to change its mind, it cannot be in this cycle of election. It has to be in another cycle of election, because people have placed reliance on it, and there's a ground of appeal in the public law or constitutional law called legitimate expectation. So people have legitimate expectation, which is derived from the promise that this election will be transparent, and people expected legitimately that the election will be transparent. Doing anything else will be unlawful. So the implementation of the 2002 Electoral Act was faulty. Just like whatever regulation that allowed Emefiele, or law that allowed Emefiele to change the Naira policy, or to change the Naira design, that the Supreme Court has said that the implementation of that was also faulty. The Supreme Court cannot decide one thing in another forum, in another court, between two different parties, and then go and decide something else between another set of parties. That is the end. It's finished for the APC. It's finished for Tinubu. And it is for the Supreme Court. The whole world is watching. Everyone. I believe in the expertise of the Supreme Court. I have massive respect for them. The people that you have in any Supreme Court all over anywhere in the world are the best that you can find in the profession. They are first class people that you find in Supreme Courts. They rarely get their decisions wrong. The Supreme Court's judges very rarely get their decisions wrong. Very, very rarely are they wrong. So the time has come for every Nigerian to step up. For all of us, we have done the election. We are dealing with the post-election. We cannot go back in our homes. We must continue what we were doing before, during the election, and we have to continue to do that after the election. We must put pressure on the people, on those individuals that have made up their minds that our people must suffer. We must make sure that they do not succeed.